the chronic pancreatitis is a continuous inflammation of the pancreas which leads to irreversible damage, and it typically presents with the pain and the permanent loss of function manifesting as diabetes and the exocrine insufficiency. Now there are various mechanisms of pain in a patient with the chronic pancreatitis. It can be a plumbing problem. It means there is high pressure in the pancreatic duct due to stone or stricture in the duct, or there can be increased parenchymal pressure, or there can be wiring problem. It means there is an increased inflammation of the nerves around the pancreas. There is loss of perineural sheath and inflammation of the pancreas, which can itself lead to pain of chronic pancreatitis. And then there can be various pancreatic and extrapancreatic complications like pseudocyst duodenal obstruction. So all this can lead to pain in patient with chronic pancreatitis. So whenever a patient of chronic pancreatitis comes to us with the pain, he needs a holistic approach. So first of all, we should stop smoking and alcohol. Many of these patients are taking alcohol and they are smoking. It should be stopped, otherwise there will not be any benefit of medical or the endoscopic therapy. Then we should assess the cause of pain, whether it's due to ductal hypertension or it's due to the extrapancreatic complication. And then we should have an evaluation of the pancreatic duct. For this we have to do various baseline workup. So ultrasound is the most commonly used modality. Then to have an idea about the pancreatic duct, we should do either MRCP or endoscopic ultrasound. MRCP will give an idea about the size of the duct, stone of the duct, and site of stricture and the number of stricture. If you are planning the ERCP in these patients, MRCP should be done prior to the ERCP. And if there is head is bulky or there is mass lesion in the pancreatic head, it can be an inflammatory mass or it can be a pancreatic cancer. One should do either a CT scan or EUS guided FNAC before planning the final treatment. Now coming to the role of endoscopy in chronic pancreatitis, it can be used either for the relief of pain or it can be used for the management of complication. For the relief of pain, we do either removal of stone or we do the stricture management. So whenever there is a stone in the MPD, it can be managed either by the conventional ERCP, ESWL, pancreatoscopy with the laser or EHL, or if the stone are radiolucent and we are not able to see on the X-ray, we can place a nasopancreatic tube and we can do the guided ESWL. If there is a stricture in the MPD, it can be treated with the dilatation and stenting schedule. So can I continue that? So for the pancreatic stone, the first is the conventional ERCP and the stone removal. If there is a non-impacted stone in the pancreatic duct and the stone size is less than 5 mm, this can be treated with the conventional ERCP with basket and the balloon sweep. But out of 100 patients with chronic pancreatitis, only 10% of patients they can be managed with the conventional ERCP, because stones are either impacted or they are larger in size or there is an upstream stricture in the MPD. So the conventional ERCP is successful only in the 10% of patients. Most of these patients have a stone size of less than 5 mm. Next is the ESWL. If the stone size is more than 5 mm and the stone are confined to the pancreatic head and body, they can be successfully treated with the ESWL with the good short and the long-term pain relief. And after the ESWL, if there is a residual stone or the stricture, ERCP should be added after the ESWL. So it's a large study from the AIG, more than 5,000 patients, the stone size more than 5 mm, the patient received 5,000 shocks at the 15 to 16 kV. So without the ideal setting, the result of ESWL will not be desirable, and each session is lasting from 60 to 90 minutes with 5,000 shocks, and maximum 4 sessions were allowed. And with this, the complete clearance is defined as 90% clearance of MPD. And with most of the patients, they have a single stone confined to the head or the body. For the ESWL patient who have disease confined to the pancreatic head and the body, they are the best candidates, and majority patients they require 3 or the less session. And we can see the results, 70% of patients they could achieve the complete clearance as compared to the conventional ERCP, where we could achieve clearance in the 10% only. ESWL is more effective than the conventional endoscopy for the MPD clearance, and this was followed in majority of patients with the ERCP. 98% of patients they underwent sphincterotomy also, and stricture was seen in 22% of patients. And with this we can see at the 6 months, 80% of patients they were pain-free. And complication is seen in around 20% of patients. Most common complications are pain at the site of contact with the ESWL machine and the local mild pancreatitis. It can occur in around 4% of patients. Severe pancreatitis is rare after ESWL, and ESWL is contraindicated in patient with the pregnancy and patient who has coagulopathy, or if there is a bone between the ESWL and the pancreatic stone, or there is lung parenchyma between the stone and the ESWL direction. And the long-term data from the same center has shown that ESWL is effective for the long-term also. If we see the result at the 5 years, 60% of patients they are still pain-free. So for the short-term, 80% of patients they are pain-free at 6 months, and at 5 years, 60% of patients they don't have any pain after ESWL. And the meta-analysis of 4,000 patients has shown the similar data, very high long-term and the short-term efficacy for ESWL for the pain relief. And the next question is, should we add ERCP after ESWL or not? Whether the ESWL alone is sufficient. The study from the Center from Costa Magna has shown that there is no benefit of adding ERCP after ESWL. There is no significant benefit in terms of relief of pain. So, should we add ERCP after ESWL? The answer is yes, but in selected patients. Patients who had partial clearance after the ESWL and patients who had associated stricture in the MPD, they should be offered ERCP after ESWL. And the next modality is the pancreatoscopy. ESWL is not available at all the centers. So in these patients we can do the pancreatoscopy and the laser or EHL. The benefit of pancreatoscopy is that we can have direct visualization of the stones. We can have direct visualization of the stone, and that will avoid injury to the pancreatic parenchyma and the pancreatic duct, and it can visualize more stone. Even the radiolucent stones they can be seen with the pancreatoscopy. But for the pancreatoscopy, there should be adequate dilatation of the MPD. Here we can see there is a stone in the pancreatic head. So in this patient, so there is a stricture in the pancreatic head region, and above the stricture there is a pancreatic stone. So first we did the hurricane dilatation of the papilla, and with the pancreatoscope you can see there is a stone in the pancreatic head, and this can be polarized with the either EHL or the laser. And the large study of 109 patients has shown that the laser or EHL is highly effective for the intrapancreatic stone. 109 patients, out of this 80% of patients they had the pancreatic ductal stricture, and this patient underwent EHL or the laser lithotripsy, and the complete clearance after one session could be achieved in 70%, and overall 90% of patients the complete clearance could be achieved. And more than 80% of patients they had significant relief in the pain. And the complication, mostly acute pancreatitis, was seen in 10% of patients, and mostly it was acute mild pancreatitis. Now coming to the second indication, that is endotherapy of pancreatic ductal stricture. So many times these patients, in addition to stone, they have pancreatic ductal stricture. Again, this can be treated with the ERCP. The pancreatic ductal stricture is defined as if there is upstream dilatation of MPD, that means the size is more than 6 mm, and if there is a failure of passage of contrast along the 6 French catheter, and there is no mass lesion on CT scan or the cross-sectional imaging, it's diagnosed as pancreatic ductal stricture, and for this we have to do the pancreatic sphincterotomy followed by Buji or the balloon dilatation, and one have to place one or multiple stent. Ideally the 10 French stent with the multiple side holes should be placed, and stent should be left for a year, and one can do either a scheduled change after 6 months or the on-demand change. On-demand change means that if there is a no decompression of MPD at 6 months or the patient has persistent pain after the ERCP, the stent should be changed after 6 months. The stricture resolution is seen in 9 to 50% of patients, and the pain response is seen in more than 60% of patients. And if there is a persistent stricture after a single stent, one can place either multiple plastic stent or one can place a SEMS. and both have equal efficacy, but the SEMS we need only one session. With the plastic stent, it has to be multiple plastic stent, it has to be changed every 3 to 6 months. So here you can see a patient with the chronic pancreatitis with a stricture. This is the dilated CBD which is compressed into the pancreatic head, and we can see there is a smooth compression indicating it's a inflammatory stricture, and here you can see it's a dilated MPD and there is a stricture in the pancreatic head region. So this stricture was dilated with the 8 French bougie, and at 7 French stent was placed, which was changed to 10 French stent in the next setting, and same setting we placed a biliary stent also. So if we see the efficacy of ERCP for the pancreatic ductal stricture, the efficacy is seen in more than 60% of patients. Now if we compare endoscopy and surgery for the management of chronic pancreatitis, there are 3 randomized controlled trials, and the meta-analysis has shown that surgery is having the more benefit in patients with the chronic pancreatitis. If we see the long-term pain relief, it's seen in 35% of patients with the surgery and 16% of patients with the endoscopy, and similar result has been seen for the short-term pain relief. So should we offer surgery to all these patients? But there is one issue with this trial, that the endoscopic treatment was not robust. There was no adequate trial of endotherapy in the endotherapy arm. So there is a middle path. So endoscopy should be attempted if the patient has predictor for the favorable response to the endotherapy. So what are these predictors? The predictors are absence of mass lesion in the head region, single stricture in the head region, and if there is a limited stone burden in the pancreatic head region only, without any stone in the tail region. These patients can be offered the endotherapy as a primary modality. If there is a failure of primary endotherapy, or if there is a mass in the pancreatic head or the stone burden in the pancreatic tail, these patients can be offered the upfront surgery. And the other indication are the management of complication of chronic pancreatitis. These are biliary stricture, pseudocyst, or the pancreatic leak. So many patients with chronic pancreatitis, they have a stricture in the head region. Around 10% of patients with chronic pancreatitis, they can have a stricture. This can be managed either with a multiple plastic stent, or they can be managed with a SEMS. And SEMS has to be left in situ for a year. And it has been seen that the stricture resolution is equal in both the groups, around 75% of patients. And the mean number of ERCP is lesser with the SEMS. So one can place either a SEMS or one can place multiple plastic stents for the management of chronic pancreatitis with the benign biliary stricture. And other indication are drainage of pseudocyst. Many patients with chronic pancreatitis, they have a pseudocyst and it's communicating with the MPD. We should never place an external drain in these patients. There will be risk of fistula formation, and this should be done only with the endoscopy guided therapy or the surgery. And sometimes the patient have ascites also, and for that first we have to drain the ascites, then we should attempt the ERCP. Otherwise there is a risk of peritonitis in these patients. So this is a video from a patient with the chronic pancreatitis who has a pancreatic abscess and which is communicating with the MPD. And we can see at minor papilla there is a pus indicating there is a communication between the pancreatic abscess and the MPD. So the minor papilla was cannulated and the stent was placed. And the cyst and the abscess disappeared within 2 weeks. And the last is the role of EUS guided treatment. Many patients with chronic pancreatitis, especially with the inflammatory mass, they have persistent pain even after the endotherapy. In these patients, we can do the EUS guided steroid injection at the celiac plexus, and which lead to the pain relief in around 50% of patients. And the efficacy lasts around 3 months. And many patients, they have splenic vein thrombosis leading to gastric varices, which can again be treated with the conventional endoscopy or the EUS guided coil and the glue injection. And sometimes the ERCP fail, we are not able to cannulate the papilla and we are not able to put the wire into the main pancreatic duct. In these patients, we can do the EUS guided pancreatic ductal drainage. We can either create a fistula between the stomach and the pancreatic duct, or we can do a rendezvous procedure. So to summarize, pain in the patient with chronic pancreatitis is multifactorial. Ductal hypertension can be treated with the endoscopy or the surgery. The conventional ERCP with the balloon and basketing is effective only for the 10% of patients. Majority of patients, they have a stricture or the larger stone. They will require ESWL. And pancreatoscopy and the intracorporeal lithotripsy with the EHL or the laser can be used as a rescue technique. And the pancreatic ductal stricture can be managed with the endoscopy and dilatation plus placement of 10 French plastic stent. For the biliary stricture, one can place either multiple plastic stent or one can place a self-expandable metal stent. And the ERCP fail, we can do the rescue EUS, and EUS again can be used for the management of pain relief or EUS guided coiling injection for the fundal varices. Thank you very much for patient hearing.
Thank you so much. With this, we are closing the session.